Nuns around the world, and today we have Chris joining us. And could you tell the good folks where you're from, Chris?
G'day. I'm actually from Perth, Western Australia,
Well, good day to you.
and yeah, thanks.
Um, so this is Nuns Around the World, and we are talking about what the religious environment was like when you were growing up. What age were you at? Tell me a little bit about when you kind of decided or realized that you were an atheist, and what kind of things are available to you now for support as a non-believer. Go.
Sure. I started off as a Church of England, and when I was in primary school, they had scripture lessons, and it was a public school, and they just talked about Jesus and how God created the world, things like that. That it was a slow indoctrination, and um, my parents weren't too serious about it. Surprisingly, I wasn't baptized, I wasn't christened, but my siblings were for some strange reason, and yeah. That's pretty much the extent of my religious sort of experience. I never really went to church at all, um, but my parents believed.
So this, you said Church of England. Is that
Yeah.
throughout Australia? Did Australia at the time, or does it still have like a state religion?
No, no state religion. It's basically it's Anglican. It's another name for the Anglican Church.
Oh, I see. But this was was this the only school system that was available? You just have the one?
Yeah, it was a local public school. Um, you know, every sort of kid goes through public school, primary school, and then when they get into high school, they either go to a private or a public high school.
You mentioned siblings.
Yep.
How many do you have, and what are their religious positions right now?
Okay, I have two sisters and one brother. My brother is also an atheist. My sister, is, my they're all older than me. My second youngest of my older sisters is actually an atheist. She's a scientist, and my oldest sister, is actually a. She is religious. She believes in God, but she doesn't go to church or anything like that.
Right. So, in the community growing up, did you were you a regular churchgoer, and was that kind of what your friends at the time were? Was that normal?
Actually, I think there was one or two of my friends who were regular churchgoers. Growing up, we never really talked about religion much. Never went to church. Yeah, my parents were um, believers. They were sort of when they went to school, they were totally indoctrinated. They had no choice whatsoever. So I think in that they didn't want to inflict it on us kids.
I
So
think that waters the religion down when you kind of have to take it through public school. Is it kind of taken
yeah,
for granted?
yeah, it is. Mostly because a lot of leaders are actually religious, but because they take it through, um, well, they're trying to avoid as much criticism as possible. So therefore, the religious indoctrination is watered down a lot. They don't do the hellfire and brimstone sort of thing.
Right. Just keep it liberal enough to not draw attention, but strong enough to keep it getting elected.
Exactly. Exactly.
See. So, at what age did you start to question all of this?
I can actually tell you, I was in year 7. I was 13 years old, and I was talking to a friend. We were on a train going to school, and he was talking about his non-religious beliefs. And he said, I'm an atheist. And that's like the second time I actually heard the term used. And I wasn't too sure what he actually meant. And I asked him to elaborate on it. And he explained that he doesn't believe in any gods. There is no evidence for God. And I'm like, that is actually amazing. I've never considered non-belief, and when I thought about it more and more and more, it started to make more sense. I didn't really do much research, didn't really read the Bible or anything like that, but I'm like, with all these crappy things happening around the world, I don't see there's much involvement of a God. Why would some deity allow these things to happen? So I came out as an atheist, and my family just shrugged their shoulders and said, all right. There's no issue.
So with the friends growing up, how many that you kept touch with, would they be about the same? Some of them would...
About the same. Religion doesn't play a part in their life at all, but some are, still believers and some are not. And yeah, the only issue they have is if I talk about religious context or my non-faith a lot. That's when they get upset. But apart from that, it's no issue whatsoever.
So people don't really wear their beliefs on their sleeve so much down there.
No, you come across one or two nut jobs and strong believers, but there's not many down here. I think the atheists. Yeah, creationists, absolutely. There's hardly any down here. There's some, but not many. I think the atheists actually outnumber the Christians.
Oh, really? Wow.
I think so.
What about the Aboriginal population down there?
Yes. The Catholic Church has a lot to answer for. There's a town just north of Perth. They built a Aboriginal school up there, and basically they indoctrinated a lot of Aboriginal girls, and they did a lot of horrible things to them, and pretty much treated them like slaves.
So with the movie, I think it was called the Rabbit Fence.
Rabbit Proof Fence? Yep.
Proof Fence?
It's very similar to what that is, yes.
So now that you're an atheist and all grown up,
yep.
Is there any support locally for non-believers in your area?
No, not really, per se. I think it's more, I think there's a couple of skeptic groups around the place that I haven't really been to. Most of my support actually comes from friends online. Facebook has been a really good outlet for me. But my day-to-day life, I don't really come across many fundies or extremists or anything like that. But you see evidence of religion everywhere.
Yeah. Maybe not quite the need for support as some places like in the U.S. We both have friends in the States.
Yep.
And they seem to have very strong, large support groups. From what I can tell, that they need it. That's one of their exports is creationism. From what I can tell, it's really the hotbed on the planet of creationism.
It is.
I can see the need for it, but and our countries mirror each other in so many ways. If you want to talk about the indoctrination and what happened to the native population, and as far as what the church is responsible, both the United Church of Canada and the Catholic Church is done some pretty nasty things in our country too. Now the United Church has quickly come out and apologized for everything profusely.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
the Catholic
Well,
not so
there's
much.
there's a royal commission going on here in Australia at the moment into all religious organisations, because there's been mass reports throughout the history of Australia, the early history of Australia, of rape and sexual assault from the Catholic Brothers and other such organisations, including the Salvation Army. And yeah, and there's mass cover-ups. The Catholic Church has covered up a lot of evidence, and the Royal Commission is digging very deep, and none of the religious organisations are liking it very much at all. And I, for one, am very happy that it's happening.
I'll bet a lot of people are, a lot of people looking for closure, perhaps.
Oh, totally. Yes, there's a lot of damage done psychologically to these poor people.
Now, what about other religious beliefs other than Christianity in Australia? Do you see much of Islam or
Uh,
Sikhs, Buddhists?
Buddhists, yes. The Asian population is very big on Buddhism. There's quite a large Chinese population here in Australia now. There's a large influx of Islam, or Muslims moving to our country, and a lot of them are trying to push for their, I've forgotten what the term is, their religious rules, law, trying to implement that so they can live via separate laws from what the Australian law has established in.
They want their own
And
Sharia court. Is that what?
yes, that's what they want. Sharia, thank you. Sharia court, yes. The largest Islamic population is actually in Sydney and Melbourne.
That's a steadily growing group.
It is a very steadily growing group, yes. Atheism is actually on the rise as well.
That's good news.
It is.
Well, you keep up the good work then, Chris.
I shall. I enjoy supporting my friends over in the US. Absolutely. I just love reading about science, learning about history and things like that. And anytime I can get into a good debate with a theist, I'll enjoy it.
Very good. Well, thanks for joining us again, Chris.
Thanks for your time.
Take care, bud.